Hey guys, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to grow black oil sunflower microgreens. You're going to start off with seed. You want to go with quality seed. Quality seed is very important when growing microgreens, especially commercially. We're using seeds from greenerharvestseeds.com, and I will have a link to that in the description below the video. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out by getting a scale and a Tupperware. You're going to make sure that it is at 0, and we're measuring in grams, okay? So with sunflower, for a 10 by 20 tray, you're going to measure out 100 grams. I need a few more. And I will say this, when you're growing for commercial grows, use P.P.E, food safe gloves, things like that. These are going to be for personal grow, so I'm not worried about having gloves on for this. Okay, so we're at 100 grams. And what you're going to do next is fill it with water. Okay. Okay, fill it with water. And then kind of swish it around just a little, make sure they all get wet. And we're gonna soak these for 4 hours. So I'll be back in 4 hours and continue with the planting. Okay, it has been 4 hours since we put our seed soaking. So the next step is to drain the seeds. So I use a colander and just pour everything out into that colander. And while all the water is dripping out, we're going to move on to the next step, which is getting our trays ready. This is an example of quality seed versus less than stellar quality seed. These are from 2 different companies. This is from Greener Harvest Seed. You can see it's a full germination, large leaves, looks great. Whereas this one here has very spotty germination. If you actually dig through here, there's a bunch of dead seed, and you can see where there is actually mold around those dead seeds. You don't want these kind of grows, okay? You want the full germination, healthy grows without worrying about mold, and you want consistency in your grows. This is a good consistent grow, whereas this is very spotty germination with mold problems. Okay, so this is the tray system that we use. You're gonna have 3 10 by 20s, 2 with no holes, 1 with holes. You're going to take the one with holes, place it into one without holes, and then you're going to fill it with your soil, okay? All right, I went ahead and put roughly 8 cups of soil in here. The soil that we use is Sungro Professional Growing Mix. It is a peat moss perlite mix. It is a non-pre-moistened soil, so it is a dry soil, and it does not have any fertilizers or pesticide in here. You do not need fertilizers for microgreens. They grow for such a short period of time that the seed itself provides all the nutrition that the shoot actually needs to grow. So what you're going to do is make sure you break up all the clumps in your soil, and there's lots of reasons why you want to make sure that it's chopped up as fine as possible. A couple of the reasons are, 1, you don't want water standing still. That's going to increase your chances of dampening off and mold possibilities. And it's also going to prevent your plants from rooting down properly, because they're going to have to fight harder to make it through larger clumps, which is also going to cause problems with dampening off and mold. Okay, so once you have that completely smoothed out, you're going to take a sprayer. Okay, there will be a link in the description at the bottom of the video for you guys. Okay, and again, our soil is not wet, so I do have to spray a good bit. Make sure you get the whole thing dampened. I actually spray it until I notice it stops sinking down, okay? So now that we have our soil wet, we're gonna go ahead and take the seeds that we've already strained, and we're gonna go ahead and spread it out. Okay, and the other good thing about wetting the soil prior to doing this is, if I were to drop a huge clump of this, I can easily move the seeds around on top of the wet soil, whereas if the soil was dry, it would not move around as easily, and then it would cause clumping, it would cause unevenness. Okay. And guys, in different seeds, it is common to see other crop seed mixed in. If you do, just simply pull it out. Like this one has another seed, and typically that is because these people who package them at processing plants package more than one seed type, and they kind of run all on the same equipment. Okay, so don't freak out if you see things like that. That is very common. The most important thing about microgreen seeds is knowing that they've had their pathogen testing done and that they are safe for human consumption. These have been tested and are safe for human consumption. Okay, I'm almost done spreading these out. And these will be ready to harvest in roughly 5 to 6 days. That does vary based on your growing conditions, your temperature, humidity, things like that. We keep our growing area between 72 and 75 degrees, and the humidity is between 45 and 55%. Okay, so now that I have these spread out, I'm gonna go ahead and mist them again. Not as much as that first time, because I don't need to wet the soil, I just need to wet the seed. All right, perfect. So the next step is, you're gonna take that other solid tray, you're gonna place it on top, and then you're going to put a weight on top. And there are definitely different ways to weight it. We use a 15-pound paver stone from Lowe's. You just place it on top like that. Other people use a row of water bottles. People have actually used these trays to make their own cement pavers. So if you can't find pavers like this, there are many different options like bricks and things like that. So you don't have to panic if you can't find it. There are definitely ways. There are some people who use coffee cans that are unopened, so they have the weight of the coffee as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in 12 hours and water it, and I'm going to do that twice a day until these are ready for harvest. So you guys will be able to witness the whole process. So I'll be back in 12 hours. Okay, it has been 12 hours since we planted our sunflower. So we're gonna go ahead and water this morning. It is in germination stage, so it will be a top water. And usually in another 12 hours, we'll start to see that sprouting happening. So just gonna mist it real well. You want to mist around the edges really well, because that's more exposed to air than the center of the tray is. So we're going to put this top tray back on and the weight back on, and see you guys in 12 hours. Welcome back. It's been another 12 hours. We're going to do the same thing we just did in the previous section of the video. We're going to remove the weight, remove the lid, and we're going to top water. And there's a few sprouts that are starting to show, just like I expected them to when I said earlier, hopefully in the 12 hours we would see some sprouting. So we're going to mist this real well. And I'll zoom in when I'm done, kind of show you some areas of sprouting in case you guys can't see in the frame now. So I'm going to zoom in for you. And you can see all the sprouts that are starting to show, all the little white areas, the seeds are popping open. All right, we're gonna put this top back on. We're gonna put the weight back on. This will stay weighted for a couple more days and I'll be back in 12 more hours to water. Welcome back, it's been another 12 hours. I expect to take the weight and the tray off and see a good bit more sprouting than what we just watched. So we're gonna remove that. Just give that lid a little tap in case you have seeds stuck to it. And yes, there's a lot more sprouting going on. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in. You can see all of those sprouts. Okay, that is good germination. You can see most of the seeds are germinating. That's why it's so important when you do grows like this commercially that you source quality seed. Quality seed is super important for good, consistent grows. Okay, just gonna mist. And this is going to stay in weight for a couple more days for sure. The weight's gonna help push the husk off as they grow. Husk can be an issue for some growers. So if you leave the weight on for at least 4 days, you're gonna eliminate some of those issues. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put this back and put the weight back, and I'll see you guys in another 12 hours. It has been another 12 hours. We're going to do the same thing. Remove the weight. Give the tray a little tap just in case you have some seeds stuck to the lid. Germination is looking great. Zoom in so you guys can see all of the sprouting. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mist. And so some of the signs you want to start looking for is if you have any dead seed, they're going to be brown, kind of slimy looking. You may notice mold, which will look like spider web kind of over the seed. Nothing appears like that in this tray. And that is the importance of high quality seed, to avoid those types of things. And then you also want to pay attention to your soil and the weight of your tray. If your tray is really, really light and the soil is very light colored, you want to add more water. You want to mist a little heavier. And then if it's real dark and real heavy, you want to ease off on watering and maybe even skip. This one had just enough water. So now it's time to put this tray back on and this weight back on, and we'll be back in 12 more hours. It has been another 12 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this paver stone. Give the lid a little tap, and the germination is way, way better today. You can see all of that. So definitely what you want to do at this stage for sure is make sure that all the seeds look good. You don't see any mold around any of the seed, and I don't see anything on here. Mold is going to look more like spider web, whereas root hair looks exactly like hair. They're very thin white hairs concentrated around the root, whereas mold will be more concentrated around the husk or around multiple areas. And root hairs will go away when you spray them with water. Mold will not. It will actually have a slimy appearance. All right, so we're gonna mist this tray like we've been doing. We're gonna continue to do this. This is gonna stay in weight for another day or so, possibly 2 days, to help push those seed husks off and help these take root in the soil. All right, so we're gonna put that tray back on, put the stone back on, and we'll be back in 12 hours. Welcome back. It's been another 12 hours. We're gonna see some more sprouting. Gonna remove the weight. You can't tell from the angle that the video is from, but the tray actually is popping up now. You can see how well of a germination we've gotten. We're gonna keep this again under that weight for a little longer. We want these to be a little bit taller, help it root more, and help push those husks off. So we're gonna mist it, and we're going to keep top watering until it's in the next stage, which is blackout. Because in blackout, they're gonna have roots at the bottom, which they should have roots at the bottom right now, but because it's still in germination and we're trying to get them to root down better, we're gonna keep misting on top. But they'll start drinking from the bottom versus spraying on top. Okay, and again, in germination, you want to keep an eye out for any dead seed, which is gonna be like brown, slimy seed, looks like the sunflower sprout is dying. And you want to look for any mold that's going to look like spider web style patches on seeds or on the soil itself. Okay, so this crop does not have either of those two things that I just described. So we're going to go ahead, put this tray back on, put the weight back on, and I'll see you guys in 12 more hours. It's been another 12 hours. I'm going to go ahead, pop the weight off. Take the lid off. Germination is great. Again, looking to see if there's any sign of mold, dead seed. Tray looks really good. We're going to continue with top watering. And I'm actually going to leave the weight on for another 12 to 24 hours. Help them, again, take root as well as push some of these husks off. A good bit of husk have started to fall off already. We want them to continue to fall off because that is less of a hassle whenever it's time for harvesting and packaging. All right. The weight is not going to hurt the growth at all. These plants are way stronger than you realize and very resilient. So we're going to put that tray right back on top and the weight. And I'll see you guys in 12 hours. It has been another 12 hours. I wish you could see how well this tray is actually popped up and lifted from these sunflowers. I'm going to go ahead, take the tray and the weight off. Look at the germination from the past 12 hours. Crazy how fast this grows. We're still going to top water, and I'm going to leave this weight on for 12 more hours only. That's all they're going to need, and then they're going to go into blackout. Okay, that extra 12 hours is going to help push more husk off and help them root down completely so that you don't have trouble with them falling over. Okay. I always water the outside edges a little more than I do in the center because those are more exposed to the air, and so the edges are going to dry out sooner than the center will. So keep that in mind. And again, as always, we're looking to see if there's any dead seed that needs to be pulled, any signs of mold, and I see nothing. This is a beautiful, beautiful germination. So again, we're going to put that tray back on, weight back on for just 12 more hours. So that's going to come off in 12 hours, and we're going to switch over into blackout, which is when we turn this into a blackout dome. See you then. It has been another 12 hours, and today the weight is going to come off and stay off, and this is actually going to go into blackout. Blackout is where the height comes in. Look at that. Look how beautiful of a germination that is, and a lot of the seed husk has come off. I'll zoom in to show you. You can see just in that area that zoomed in that most of the seed husks have been removed, which is great because that is a menace most of the time for sunflower growers. All right, guys, so now that it's going to go into blackout, we're going to start bottom watering. because this is going to have roots at the bottom. They're gonna drink from the bottom. So I'm gonna show you the roots, okay? So you can see the roots at the bottom. So they're gonna drink from there. So what I'm gonna do is on this bottom tray, I'm just gonna fill it to the tops of the ridges, okay? So not a lot, don't need a lot. They're not very big yet. And then we place the tray back inside. And then we will put it under the dome, just like this. So take the tray, flip it over, just like this. And it will stay in this for at least 48 hours to get the height that we're looking for. We're looking for roughly 3.5 to 4 inches of height prior to it going into the light. So I'll see you in 12 hours. It has been 12 hours since we put our sunflower into Blackout. So I expect to take this lid off, see a little bit of height having grown into this, and we're gonna go ahead and bottom water. This is gonna stay in Blackout for another 24 hours. They look great. So what I'm gonna do is, just like what I did earlier, I'm gonna remove this tray. And just add enough water to cover the bottom up to the ridges. Okay, I'm gonna put this back in, and this is gonna go back into Blackout again so that we can get more height on this. We want it the height we need it to be before it goes into the light. So I'll see you in 12 more hours. Welcome back. It has been a full 24 hours in Blackout. So we're gonna go ahead, take this off, take a look at it. You can see they have grown tremendously. I will show you a side view as well, so you can see the height, okay? It's really good height on it. We're gonna leave it in Blackout for at least another 12, possibly 24 hours. We'll make that decision at next watering. And we're gonna go ahead, take this out, bottom water. Again, just enough to cover the bottom of the tray. Okay, put that back in and put this back on it. So see you guys in 12 more hours and we'll make that decision. Welcome back. It has been another 12 hours in Blackout, which makes it 36 hours since we first put this in Blackout. These are actually as tall as I need them to be. You can see how tall they are. They're roughly 3.5 to 4 inches. And these are actually ready for light, okay? So we're gonna place them into light after we water them. So again, we continue to bottom water. Let me move that over, okay? And just fill the bottom with water, just like the previous times. You don't need a lot, just enough to coat the bottom. Then we're gonna put it back into there, okay? And these are going to go, again, these are tall enough, they're gonna go into light. So I'm gonna put them on my rack. Okay, as you can see, we have them under light now. I actually use 2 lights on my rack for this, and I have fans on both sides of my rack to help with air circulation. So in the next 12 hours, you will see a big difference in the coloring. They're gonna turn from yellow to a lighter green, and we'll show you that in 12 hours. Welcome back. It has been 12 hours of us having our sunflower in light. You can see the color has totally changed from that bright yellow to this green color. And these are actually gonna stay into light for 12 to 24 more hours. What we're looking for in light is for the 2 leaves on top to fully open. We do not want the true leaves to show in between the 2 leaves. So you harvest sunflower prior to having the true leaves. And I will show you what a true leaf is, because I let some grow too long to be able to show you guys. So these 2 leaves in the center, you do not want that. These actually change the flavor profile as well as the texture. and these are no longer considered a viable microgreen. And then I'm not sure if you can see on camera, but the two true leaves have fuzzy hairs all over them. That is not a good bite. No one wants to eat that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and bottom water. And again, you just put enough water to cover the bottom. And we're gonna put this back on the rack under the light and see you guys in 12 hours. Okay guys, welcome back. It has been another 12 hours in light for our sunflower, and they are actually ready for harvest. That's going to be a separate video with a cost breakdown for you guys, so you can see what it costs on our end and how we package. And I'm going to show you the side, let you see the height on these. You want these to be roughly 4 inches tall at the time of harvest, and you want the stems on top to be open and fully green without true leaves forming through. So thank you for joining, and see you in the next video where we harvest these and break down the cost for you.